Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Gardiner Houlgate Auctioneers and we're going to have a look at their general musical instrument auction. So there's been quite a few Gardiner Houlgate auctions going on at the moment. One actually finished today. There was 5 in total, and this is one of the middle ones, and as I said, this is just general musical instruments. This particular auction is due to finish on the 17th of June. It's the 15th today at the time of recording, near the end of the day, so you still have a couple of days left to look at that. As always with Gardiner Houlgate, 26.4% is the buyer's premium. This is a UK based auction house, so if you're thinking of buying and you're outside of the UK, then you need to look into the kind of shipping fees and import export, and even potentially if you're in the UK you might want to look at the shipping fees. It seems that there's 391 lots in this auction, which is a fair amount, but not as big as we have seen for some of these general auctions, but that's probably because they've split their auctions up a bit more to spread it over a few days, which I think is quite sensible, and in a way they could probably still do that again and it would probably be better. But in any case, these Gardiner Houlgate auctions are usually really interesting and quite diverse. So as we've got quite a lot of lots, let's just kind of crack on and see what we've got and try and kind of blitz through it. So we have a square piano by Jacob Ball, London 1792, 6 to £1,000. As we've discussed many a time, really the market for these pianos is not great, and you can pick one up usually fairly cheap. Nice looking instrument. As always with Gardiner Houlgate, a lot of information kind of here about kind of condition in general, other specs and things like that. If we went through everything on the auction, then we'd literally be here forever, so unfortunately I'm just gonna have to do a very brief overview, and then there'll be a link in the description and you can check it all out afterwards. I think Gardiner Houlgate, I say this every time, I'm pretty sure that they're pretty good at keeping the stuff on record, so you can look back at it at a later date. But yeah, an interesting piano. A fine mid-19th century mahogany grand piano by and inscribed Bosselot and Fee. It's a Marseille based piano maker there. £800 to £1,200. So it's almost criminal, really, isn't it, that you can get like a really fine instrument of this magnitude for such potentially such a low price. Anyway, good Gibson RB175 5-string banjo with 11-inch skin. There you go. 5 to 700 is the estimate there. I might just zoom out ever so slightly because I find that we're just cutting off a bit of the information. This might make it a bit easier. So a Premier 5-piece drum kit, blue finish, 40 to £80. A good Regal resonator mandolin with sunburst finish, 650 to 850. A Carla bass ukulele labelled U-bass, model number KAUBASSFS, 60 to £100. A contemporary Bosch style 5-string hurdy-gurdy, made by William Molan, 1981. Interesting, 2 to £400. Usually popular. Fine contemporary English lute by and labelled Martin Shepherd, 2 to £2,500. July 2001. And a repair label there, Tony Johnson. Martin Shepherd's quite a regarded lute maker, so I'm sure that's quite a nice instrument. 2 contemporary ukuleles by and labelled Eddie Finn, 120 to 180, and there's something else as well. Also a Tikiyuku baby guitar. So there you go, interesting. 3 contemporary ukuleles by Stag, 100 to £150. A Blackwater electro acoustic ukulele bass, and a Helena baritone ukulele. I wish they would change the way that they do their titles so you can just see everything here instead of it cuts off. I've never understood that. 80 to £140 in any case. Ashby Gibson F-style electric mandolin there, and this looks like a Stag electric ukulele, 100 to 150. 2 large Mahogany mouth organs, and a whole load of other ones as well, 60 to £100. So it looks like an interesting lot for people that are a fan of those. You can see those really big ones there, and a lot of other smaller ones, so a whole collection there. Interesting. Hohner Erica small button accordion, and also German melodeon, 30 to 50. Old Neapolitan mandolin, labelled Domenico Zanoni, a violin and some other bits there, 30 to 50. Bowood Countryman WCB 40 5-string banjo, 80 to 120 pounds. Samex 6-string banjo with banded resonator, 80 to 120. A Premier 5-piece drum kit there, 100 to 200 pounds with Serbian cymbals. Old ukulele bearing the trademark label of Jose Alvarez. Another old ukulele and a Neapolitan mandolin, 60 to 100 pounds. Interesting, some of these older ukuleles actually, they're quite interesting, and I think they're fairly popular with some people. A Paolo Soprani Castelfidardo Italian piano accordion, with another kind of, looks like smaller accordion, ukulele, banjo, some other kind of instruments and stands, a whole plethora of things, 30 to 60 pounds. Interesting and good quality Neapolitan mandolin in need of a restoration, labelled Carlo Rinaldi, Napoli, 100 to 200 pounds. Let's have a look a bit closer. Yeah, looks fairly nice. Shame there's no picture of the back, but yeah, looks fairly nice. Fine and rare Gibson F 5-star mandolin, made in May 1957, 5 to 7,000 pounds. Very good condition, professionally made later bridge. Very interesting. These are popular, 5 to 7,000 pounds. Good Tama drum throne, 20 to 40 pounds. Some rare Wiltshire folk songbook, arranged by Celia Cologne and researched by Jean Morrison, 1981, 20 to 40 pounds. There you go, interesting, and a few other things. 6 various heads and shoulders composition busts of various instrument composers, 20 to 40. Mapex drum stool with leather seat and folding chrome legs. I'm not sure, well, that's not quite what's shown here, and percussion items, but okay, we'll have to believe you, 20 to 40 pounds. Interesting. Michael Kelly contemporary F-style mandolin, 2 to 300. Barnes & Mullen 6-string banjo, and another 5-string banjo, 30 to 50. Lanikai contemporary bass ukulele, and also a Maholo ukulele, 30 to 60. 4 various contemporary ukuleles, 40 to 80. A bizarre acoustic guitar with shortened fretboard and unusual head, and an unnamed banjo. I think we've seen this one before, 50 to 80. Barnes & Mullen's 5-string banjo and an unnamed banjo ukulele, 50 to 80. Jedson 5-string banjo, 80 to 120. Old Kalamazoo mandolin by Gibson, 300 to 500, there is the estimate. Good pair of pearl percussion Primero series tom-toms, 40 to 80, nice colour. Contessa contemporary 5-string banjo, 50 to 80. Old unnamed classical guitar and an old ukulele banjo and a metronome there, interesting, 40 to 80. Old 5-string banjo, probably by Jewett, 50 to 80. Italia Soprani 120 bass accordion, 30 to 50. Good Neapolitan mandolin by and labelled Fabbrica di Strumenti Accorda, Emelinda Silvestri Roma, 300 to 500 there. Shame there's no picture of the back again, but yeah, looks like actually quite a nice mandolin, not too shabby. Hawks and Sons oak cased set of tubular bells, tubaphone, interesting, we don't see those too often. 150 to 250 there, that's pretty good. Moving on, and then we have a harp, contemporary Salve Mia Celtic harp, Celtic harp even. Getting confused with the football team there. 500 to 600 pounds there. Victorian Mahogany Jewett music stand, 2 lyres, 300 to 500. Contemporary satinwood adjustable music stand, 60 to 100. Another one, 60 to 100. Ooh, a good Edwardian walnut inlaid music cabinet, nice, 100 to 150. Good tenor ukulele hard case and a viola case and some other bits, 20 to 40. Fender 5-string banjo, 80 to 120. Graduated set of 6 drum heads, 20 to 40. Ooh, an English guitar by Michael Rausch, London, 3rd quarter of the 18th century, 200 to 400. Interesting looking instrument. Looks like it's had a bit of worm fun there. I don't know if it says that somewhere here. Several cracks, worm damage. Yeah, you can kind of see. You can have a look at the pictures yourself. The worms have been busy. Hagspel Boudoir Grand Piano, circa 1900, burr walnut case, 500 to 800. Once again, pretty just criminal, really, that you could potentially, obviously the auction hasn't happened, but you could potentially buy something like this for £800. It's still mind-boggling. Steinway Model O Grand Piano, circa 1924. We've got 6 to 10,000 is the estimate on that. A bent side spinet attributed to Joseph Mann Sven, England, 1768. This is an interesting one. 4 to 6,000 there. Formerly sold at Sotheby's there. An unfretted Bundfrei clavichord by Marcus Gabriel Sondermann, Redensburg, 1805. That's 15,000 to 20,000 there, so it's a fairly serious instrument as well. As I said, this is always really an interesting auction, this Gardiner Houlgate one. A 2-manual harpsichord by Andres Ruckers, Antwerp, 1614, 70 to 90,000 pounds. This is a real serious instrument for serious collectors or museum collectors. I believe there's a lot of information here that we won't get into at the moment, but believe that the harpsichord itself, the mechanism, has been kind of put into a traditional English case, is what they say here. Typical English 18th century revealment of a Ruckers harpsichord, case widened, etc, etc. But yeah, really interesting by one of the finest harpsichord makers, so be curious to see how that goes, how that sells. And then back to a good and unusual 5-string banjo, so slight difference there, 3 to 500. 5-piece drum kit there, 20 to 40. Fine modern English 3-row Anglo concertina by and labelled Colin Dipper, 2.5 to 3,500. So we've spoken about before that how some of these concertinas are really quite valuable. Bacon and Day Silver Bell 4-string banjo, 450 to 650. Bacon and Day Sonorita 4-string banjo, 180 to 240. Bacon Belmont 5-string banjo, 80 to 140. W.G. Cocker and Son 4-string banjo, 350 to 500. A good filed mandola labelled filed guitars, 3 to 500. Jedson 5-string banjo, 80 to 120. A good gold tone custom banjo, 200 to 400. Contemporary lute, 100 to 150. Scarletti 48 button piano accordion there, 50 to 80. Interesting 12-string mandolin by and labelled Jose Gomez, 150 to 250. Good bass drum pedal and a large quantity of miscellaneous drum bits, 80 to 140. Over 30 pairs of as new drumsticks, mostly by Vic Firth, 40 to 80. Large quantity of various percussion bits, 20 to 40. Harmonicas and other bits there, 40 to 80. 10 Kinsman folding mini ukulele stands, interesting, 30 to 60. 12 Kinsman music stands, 30 to 60. Contemporary Mahalo ukulele, guitar shaped body, and some cases there, 20 to 40. 5-string zither banjo and rosewood resonator, and a Savannah banjo ukulele, 30 to 50. Good Windsor Premier Model 5-string banjo, 150 to 250. Bob Dylan Signature Series Harmonica, 150 to 215. There's also Lee Oscar 30th Anniversary Small Harmonica. 4 Hohner Blues Harp harmonicas there, 20 to 40. Collection of ethnic and other instruments to include a Neapolitan bowlback mandolin. Why not? Just might as well just add more of those. 50 to 100. Selection of mixed percussion to include Latin percussion multi-guiro, 40 to 80. Selection of gong and chime instruments to include Latin percussion matado cowbell, 30 to 60. Mixed selection of handshaker percussion to include a large gourd cabasa, 30 to 60. Good selection of percussion and drumsticks to include various beaters and malice, 30 to 50. 2 Bowrons, 20 to 40. Remo 16 Ocean drum together with some thunder effects things, 30 to 50. 4 ethnic drums to include a talking drum and beater, 40 to 80. Interesting. Pair of Latin percussion Matador brass timbale drums, 100 to 200. Alexandra Darbuka Dumbeck drum together with a Dumbeck brass stem drum, 30 to 16. Lots of percussion stuff in this particular auction. Old African djembe drum with gig bag, 40 to 60. Remo Signature Series Paolo Mattioli djembe drum, 80 to 120. Whole load of different books about stuff for music, 40 to 80. More books on music, 70 to 100. Some more things to do with jazz there, and we'll just go past these books unless we see something really super interesting. I think that's a little bit out of our zone. Ray Swinfield Mayer New York medium chamber alto saxophone mouthpiece with mic fitting there, 70 to 100 pounds. Interesting. Another one, a Ray Swinfield alto saxophone mouthpiece, 70 to 100. And 3 more even of these Ray Swinfield mouthpieces, 70 to 100. Another one there for 70 to 100. Another one 80 to 120. Another 80 to 120. Another couple there, 80 to 120. Some more, 80 to 120. 100 to 140 there. From Ray Swinfield, 100 to 140. Some more here, 80 to 120. Wow, that's really quite crazy. More 120 to 160 there. All these kind of very interesting. These mouthpieces, 120 to 160 there. Some more mouthpieces there, 160 to 120 to 160. Another one here, Mayer ones, 100 to 140. Ray Swinfield, some more Berg Larson mouthpiece, a few others, 120 to 160. Ray Swinfield, quantity of various caps and ligatures, 20 to 40. Ray Swinfield Selma alto saxophone M6 neck, 120 to 160. Ray Swinfield 2 plain silver plated flute head joints, 80 to 120. Ray Swinfield Good Brannan Cooper solid silver flute head, 400 to 600. Good solid silver flute head joint by and stamped at Dana Sheridan, 500 to 700. Fine Brannan gold flute head joint, stamped with the maker's mark, 800 to 1000. Fine Albert Cooper solid silver flute head, 900 to 1100. I feel we're in like the kind of the top quality flute head land at the moment, of which I know absolutely nothing about, but interesting anyway. Ray Swinfield 3 various old clarinets by and stamped Selma, Boozy and the Hawks, Excelsior, 100 to 150. Here's a Yamaha silver plated flute, 40 to 60. Beatles instrument, good piccolo, with silver body and head, for 300 to 400. This piccolo was famously played by Ray Swinfield on the soundtrack of Penny Lane by the Beatles. Okay, interesting. There you go. Lindy Swinfield, Ray's surviving wife, is happy to provide written confirmation that this piccolo was used on the soundtrack of Penny Lane and Mr. Ben's children's television series. Hey, Mr. Bennett. Excellent, that's pretty cool. Well, that's interesting. The stuff that Gardiner Houlgate gets is just pretty bonkers, really, but it's interesting. Anyway, a good Grenadilla wooden-bodied piccolo there, 5 to 700. More Ray Swinfield stuff. A good concert silver-plated flute by Pearl, 700 to 1,000. I can't speak anymore. A good silver-plated bass flute by Gebruder Monig, 750 to 950. More Beatles interest is a fine solid silver concert flute by and stamped the Haynes flute, 1800 to 2,500. A flute was famously played by Ray Swinfield on the soundtrack of Penny Lane. Okay, and Mr. Ben again. So there you go. Curious. Very fine and rare solid silver flute by and stamped Brannan Cooper London, 4,000 to 6,000. Wow, we are definitely in the pinnacle of, or very high end flute zone now. Fine solid silver alto flute by and stamped the Haynes flute, 2,500 to 3,500. Soprano silver plated saxophone by and stamped the Boucher Elkhart, 400 to 600. Gold plated lacquered soprano saxophone by and stamped Yanagisawa, 800 to 1,100 there. Good Selma Mark 6 gold lacquered saxophone, 2,800 to 3,600, all Ray Swinfield. Very fine Selma 22 karat gold, gold frosted and gloss finish cigar cutter alto saxophone stamped H Selma, 3,000 to 4,000. Selma clarinet B flat series, 3 to 500 pounds. I think we're out of the Ray Swinfield section now. Old silver plated tuba by and stamped Besson and Co. A few other horns as well, 100 to 150 pounds. All need a bit of attention there. Bijan Hawks clarinet, a whole load of recorders. It looks like, yeah, some plastic recorders, 50 to 80. 2 oboes by and stamped Howarth of London, and Marigot of Paris oboe, 100 to 150. French Cor Anglaise by and stamped Martin of Paris. Also another one with a Howarth of London case, 100 to 150. A Buffet Crampon and C oboe with a Schreiber oboe as well, 2 to 300. B&M Champion gold lacquered alto saxophone there, and an unnamed silver saxophone, or silver plated, 60 to 100 there. An incomplete B flat clarinet by John Parker London, also 2 keyed oboe by George Astor, with a joint by David Owen, and a 19th century treble recorder by Johannes Adler, 30 to 15. It looks kind of interesting. A lot of things there. Modern keyless leather-bound serpent by David Owen there, 50 to 100 pounds. A 10-key stained maple bassoon by Beltrami Lugano, first quarter of the 19th century, 500 to 700 there. 5-keyed stained pearwood bassoon, late 18th century, stamped at Millhouse, 600 to 800. 14-key stamped fruitwood bassoon by Gautran Ain, Paris, 500 to 700. 6-key stained fruitwood bassoon by John Parker, London, circa 1800, 800 to 1200. 14-keyed stained fruitwood bassoon by Richard Bilton, London, 500 to 700. A 17-keyed rosewood bassoon by Le Quatuor, France, 150 to 250. 18-key stained wooden bassoon stamped by D. McCullough, Dublin, 2 to 400 pounds. English 14-keyed bassoon by and stamped George Potter and Co. Aldershot, 3 to 500 pounds. Good bassoon by and stamped Heckler Beerbridge, 2 to 3,000 there, so fairly substantial. Fine Cocoswood flute by and stamped Wolf and Fig, London, 1750 to 2250. Fine Cocoswood flute by and stamped Ruddle and Rose, 2,500 to 3,500 there. Paxman Series 2 brass French horn stamped Meriwether system, 300 to 500. Paxman silver plated French horn stamped Meriwether system, 3 to 500. tenor silver-plated saxophone by and inscribed Hawks and Son, 100 to 150. Trevor J. James, silver-plated flute, 50 to 80. 12 various saxophone mouthpieces, 60 to 80. More clarinet mouthpieces here, 40 to 60. Small E-flat cymbal system clarinet by Keaton Sons, 50 to 80. 6 various Hohner Echo harp harmonicas, 20 to 40. Ruddle Cart & Co. Bohm system flute, also French clarinet, a whole load of recorders and things, 60 to 100, a real mixed bag there. Trevor James metal flute, 30 to 50. CG Con Limited crossbar baritone saxophone, 1300 to 1800. Buffet Crampon Paris Super Dynaction baritone saxophone, 1300 to 1800. Good CG Con Elkhart silver plated alto saxophone, 200 to 400. Barker Omega silver plated trumpet, 100 to 150. B&M Champion straight gold lacquered soprano saxophone, 40 to 80. Arbiter Pro Sound gold lacquered alto saxophone, 50 to 80. Cocoswood oboe with German silver keywork, 150 to 250. Cocoswood C clarinet with German silver keywork, 250 to 300. Ebonite B flat clarinet with German silver keywork, 200 to 300. CG Con on that. Cocoswood E flat clarinet with German silver keywork for the left-handed player. That's interesting. That doesn't come up too often. Stumped Joe Michel and Son, 200 to 300. African Blackwood Pepeshi system flute, 250 to 350. Silver plated Bohm system flute, 550 to 650. African Blackwood Bohm system flute, stamped DR patent, 250 to 350. African Blackwood Bohm system piccolo, stamped A Robert Paris, 70 to 100. Silver plated trumpet by and inscribed Besson & Co, 50 to 70. Brass tenor horn by and inscribed Halari F Sudra, 35 to 45. Good Selma gold lacquered alto saxophone inscribed Henry Selma, 2 to 3000. Good solid silver flute by and stamped Wimberley David, 1200 to 1600 there. Good solid silver flute by and stamped Ruddle Cart & Co, 600 to 800. A good silver plated flute by and stamped LL Lebret Paris, 300 to 500. CG Con alto gold lacquered saxophone, 600 to 800. Le Fleur bassoon imported by Bougie and Hawks, 250 to 350. Buffet Crampon Cooper scale silver plated flute, 80 to 120. Alto recorder, some kind of music stuff, 20 to 40. Oh, we're on to the strings now. So contemporary German viola by and labelled Michael Poller, 40 to 80. Early 20th century violin, the Apollo, 100 to 150. Contemporary Rainbow Violin Company half-size violin, a few other kind of things pretty standard, 50 to 80. Early 20th century violin, indistinctly labelled, 50 to 80. A whole load of cases there, 20 to 40. English violin by and labelled Thorley, Maker, 1887, 60 to 100. French violin labelled Nicholas Bertolini, 60 to 100. Early 20th century German violin, 120 to 180. German violin second 1920, 100 to 150. 4 various old 3/4 size violins and 2 half size, 60 to 100. 3 interesting old violins in need of restoration. Also one in the white, 80 to 140. You can see with a lion head kind of violin there. So 80 to 140. 8 various full-size violins in need of repair, 80 to 140 pounds there. 5 children's student violin outfits and a contemporary violin outfit, 40 to 80. 6 various cases, 20 to 40. Contemporary Romanian Stradivari copy violin, student violin, gear for music, half-size violin, 40 to 80. Contemporary German viola, labelled Anton Killer, 40 to 80. Old W. Hill and Sons Rosewood fitted viola case, 40 to 80. Large quantity of violin fittings there, 40 to 80. Large quantity of violin, viola and cello pegs, 40 to 80. Another load of tail pieces and bridges and stuff, 40 to 80. Load of cello tail pieces, 40 to 80. Late 19th century violin, 50 to 80 there. Statues of people playing violin, entitled La Musique, 50 to 80. Whole 25 sets of violin pegs, 180 to 240. Eastern European violin, circa 1930, 100 to 140. Violin labelled Jacobus Steiner. Looks like another one, 40 to 80, another German violin with it. Early 20th century violin. Is this a Thomas Craig? Yeah, 120 to 180. A late 19th century violin, 50 to 80. Late 19th century violin, 150 to 250. Contemporary violin, full size, 20 to 40. Early 19th century German violin, 100 to 150. German violin, circa 1910, 150 to 200. A French violin of the Carlston School, 1880, 150 to 250. That might do well. German violin labelled A.K. Huttel, 120 to 160. German violin labelled Carl Anton Lippold, and also another violin, Alfred Williams, 150 to 250. Early 20th century violin, 200 to 300. English violin by and labelled A.J. Rope, Plumstead, 120 to 180. English violin by and labelled E.R. Schmidt & Co., 200 to 300. Early 20th century violin labelled copy of Strad, 180 to 240. German violin labelled J.A. Bader & Co., 150 to 250. German violin labelled Johannes Baptist Havelaar, 150 to 200. Interesting violin by and labelled Ernst Glasel, 200 to 400. Early 20th century violin, 120 to 180. German violin, circa 1910, 200 to 300. Late 19th century Mittenwald half-size violin, 80 to 120. French Stradivari copy, circa 1890, 200 to 300. Late 19th century Stradivari copy, 2 to 300. Late 19th century violin, 2 to 300. Small quantity of violin and cello fittings, 15 to 30. A whole large quantity of instrument pegs, 25 to 45. Various stringed instruments fittings, 40 to 80. More fittings, 40 to 80. A whole load of strings, 30 to 60. Early 20th century French violin, 100 to 150. Yamaha electric skeleton violin, 80 to 120. 19th century violin unlabelled, probably English, 150 to 200. Late 19th century Stradivari copy, 40 to 70. German three-quarter violin, 30 to 50. Three various three-quarter violins, 20 to 40. Whole load of cases there, 40 to 80. 19th century English small cornerless violin there, 40 to 80. A small contemporary viola, also a Mittenwald violin and a three-quarter violin, 30 to 60. Saxon violin with lion's head, 100 to 140. Old German violin, 40 to 80. Whole load of backs, a whole load of books even, 40 to 80. More books here. The Benjamin Banks book is pretty good, 60 to 100. Here's all the Jalovec books here, 60 to 100. A whole load of different books, the Hammer book and a few other ones here, 60 to 100. The good old Henley Dictionary, 50 to 80. British violin, great book, 50 to 80. Be a good bargain. Joseph Roeder, both for musical instruments, 100 to 150. Couple of books here, again 50 to 80. This is the bow book, Etienne Vatelot, 100 to 150. Encyclopedia of Violin Makers, this is Yellowback again, 100 to 150. Book on Scarabotto, 220 to 260. Henley again, 70 to 100. Paul Child's Bow Makers of the Cat Family, and a bit about Arthur Bultitude, 100 to 150. Golden Age of Violin Making in Spain, 2 to 300 by Georges Posas. Galpin Society Journals, 200 to 400 there, a whole load of them. Group of coloured etchings of famous composers, 20 to 40. Large black and white print of Ludwig van Beethoven, 50 to 80. 12th edition bow box, 20 to 40. Whole load of bows, 10 to 20. More bows, 10 to 20. More bows, 10 to 20. Load more bows, 20 to 40. A silver mounted violin bow stamped Dodd, also another silver mounted bow, 2 to 300. Contemporary silver mounted carbon fibre bow stamped Coda bow, 50 to 80. Silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hills and Sons, and unstamped, 6 to 800. Interesting. German silver mounted violin bow by and stamped Jules Heinrich Zimmermann, 400 to 600. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped Francois Lot, 2 to 300. No lot on this one, don't know what that was, but that's gone. Good English silver mounted violin bow by and stamped Roy Collins, 450 to 650. French violin bow of the Malines School, unstamped, 800 to 1200 pounds there. French nickel mounted cello bow by and stamped Cuneo Huri, 550 to 750. Contemporary silver mounted carbon fibre bow stamped Coda, 50 to 80. German nickel mounted violin bow by and stamped Algu and C, 80 to 120. French silver mounted violin bow stamped M. Lapierre, 500 to 700. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped C. Thomasin, Paris, 600 to 800. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped L. Morizot, 100 to 150. It's had a nasty break there. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped Victor Fetique at Paris, 600 to 800. Violin bow of the Bazaar School with these interesting kind of inlays, 4 to 600. Silver mounted violin bow stamped P. Hell, Lille, 2 to 400. No lot on this one either. Silver mounted violin bow stamped Gandon Bernadelle, 2 to 300. A silver mounted double bass bow unstamped, 2 to 400. Silver mounted violin bow unstamped, 2 to 300 there. Silver mounted violin bow unstamped, 2 to 300. Nickel mounted violin cello bow, stamped Allegro, 2 to 300. German silver mounted violin bow by and stamped R. Weichhold, 4 to 600. Silver mounted cello bow stamped Hawks and Son, 3 to 500. Silver and tortoise shell mounted violin bow unstamped, 250 to 450 there. German silver mounted violin bow by and stamped Gunther A. Paulus, 3 to 500. German silver mounted violin bow by and stamped Gunther A. Paulus again, and carry on. English silver mounted violin bow by and stamped George Darby, 600 to 800 there. Silver mounted cello bow by and stamped Roderick Paisol, 250 to 350. Another withdrawn lot there. Silver mounted violin bow unstamped, 450 to 650. Nickel mounted cello bow stamped Victor Fetique, 5 to 700 there. Silver mounted cello bow stamped Paul Jambard, 800 to 1200. Silver mounted violin bow in the style of Viome, 6 to 800. Let's see. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped Gandon Bernadelle, 1500 to 2000. Nickel mounted violin bow stamped Malines, 700 to 1000. Silver mounted violin bow stamped Louis Bazar, 1000 to 1400. Silver mounted cello bow stamped C. Thomasin, 2 to 2500 there. Good Scottish violin by and labelled John Craig, 700 to 1000 there. French violin labelled L. Courtier, 500 to 800. French violin labelled Charles Bruguière, 500 to 750. Early 20th century French viola, £300 to £500. Good English violin, by and labelled Wilfred G. Saunders, £2,000 to £3,000 there. There's any other information here. Okay. French violin, circa 1910, unlabelled, £500 to £700 is the estimate. Good French viola, circa 1910, unlabelled, £1,000 to £1,400. Good French violin, by and labelled Lutherie Artistique, Jean-Baptiste Collin, £500 to £700. French violin, by and labelled Colin Mazat, £2,500 to £3,500. Violin labelled Fessou la direction de Marius Didier, £800 to £1,200. Late 19th century German violin labelled Neuner and Hornsteiner, £300 to £400. Interesting late 19th century violin unlabelled, £250 to £450. Interesting back. Late 19th century Stradivari copy, £300 to £500. Early 20th century German violin, £300 to £400. Early 20th century German viola, £300 to £500. Early 20th century German violin, labelled J.A. Badir, £200 to £300. Contemporary violin, labelled Mercenzio Merte, £1,000 to £1,500. Interesting early English transitional small viola with original Baroque setup. Okay, this is a bit more interesting. Interesting scroll there. So that's £800 to £1,400 there. Interesting in early 19th century English viola again, £2,000 to £3,000 for this one. Interesting viola circa 1840, unlabelled, £2,000 to £3,000 there. Interesting old viola unlabelled, £5,000 to £8,000. That's definitely an interesting looking one for sure. Very interesting late 18th century violin, and it's attributed to Landolfi School there, £3,000 to £4,000. Okay, definitely interesting that one, £3,000 to £4,000. Violin labelled Averna Geraldo, £2,500 to £3,500 there. German violin by and labelled Matthias Neuner, £350 to £550. German violin labelled Johann Christian Ficker, £350 to £550. 19th century Steiner copy, £200 to £250. 19th century violin, possibly Scottish, £300 to £400. Late 19th century French violin, £300 to £500. English viola labelled William Forster, that's £1,500 to £2,000 there is the estimate. 19th century violin, probably Scottish, unlabelled, £500 to £800. Modern Italian violin by and labelled Federico Fiora, Cremona 2012, £2,000 to £3,000 is the estimate there. Modern Italian violin by and labelled Dario Aguzzi in Vidagolfo, £2,000 to £3,000. Violin labelled Sacchetti Gianetto, £800 to £1,200. Interesting 19th century violin, unlabelled, £500 to £800. Good English violin by and labelled Emmanuel Whitmarsh, £800 to £1,200 there. Interesting violin labelled Bernardo Calcani, Cremona, £1,000 to £1,500. Interesting late 18th, early 19th century English pochette, £200 to £300. Contemporary violin labelled Joseph Bernard, £200 to £400. Interesting late 18th, early 19th century violin, £1,500 there, labelled John Hart. Interesting. Neuner and Hornsteiner violin, circa 1880, 500 to 700. Good German violin by and labelled John Streiberg, 1400 to 1800. Interesting violin labelled Opus, Bartolomeo Tassini, 1754, 700 to 900. German violin labelled Christian Hoffmann, 500 to 700. Oh, we missed a few pictures on that one there. French violin by and stamped Salazar, or Salazar even, 800 to 1200. Good French Stradivari copy, 600 to 800. Violin stamped AM on the button, 1100 to 1400. French violin by and labelled Lutherie Artistique, 800 to 1200. Violin by and labelled Paul Bisch, 600 to 800. Late 19th century violin labelled Jean-Baptiste Villaume, 600 to 800. Neuner and Hornsteiner violin there, 700 to 1000. Good French violin circa 1925, 800 to 1200. Late 19th century German Stradivari copy, 300 to 400. Mitterwald violin circa 1890, 400 to 600. Interesting English viola of the Hill School. It's quite interesting looking. Very curious. 800 to 1200. That's not a bad looking. Some nice violas in this auction. Good German viola of the Nilling School Workshop. 700 to 900 there. Good 19th century German violin with inked purfling. 200 to 250. Interesting scroll there. See if you can have a look at that scroll from the front of it. Definitely a curious one there. 200 to 250. Neuner and Hornsteiner violin, circa 1890. 4 to 600 is the estimate. East Coast Electric double bass, 150 to 250. Dean Electric double bass there, 100 to 150. Good contemporary cello, there, 2 to 300. Another good contemporary German cello there, 3 to 500. Mid 20th century Czechoslovakian cello, 3 to 500. Late 19th century Mittenwald cello, 5 to 800. Late 19th century cello, 5 to 800. French cello circa 1900, 1200 to 1800. Good English cello circa 1830 from the Kennedy Workshop, 2 to 3000 there. Cello circa 1890, unlabelled, 1200 to 1800. Cello circa 1900, 2 to 3000. Neuner and Hornsteiner cello there from 1890, 5 to 2000 is the estimate. Interesting English cello from 1830, unlabelled. That's very nice looking, 2 to 3000. That's really cool looking back on that. Really nice. That might make a good picture for the thumbnail. Good modern Italian cello by and labelled Dario Aguzzi. Certificate there as well, 5 to 7,000 pounds. Good 19th century double bass, 2 to 3,000. Good German double bass, circa 1900, with faucet, low C and brass foliate engraved machine heads. Interesting, 1500 to 2000. Good English double bass, probably by George Adolphe Chanot, 2 to 3000. Interesting head on that. Some good pictures on it. Oh, definitely lots of pictures. Let's have a quick whirl. I think this may be the last lot, so let's have a look. It doesn't look like their head is original, I would suspect. It's definitely interesting. Let's see what it says. Reduced in size, head and neck are much later. Yep, that seems fairly obvious. And then we are back to the beginning. So that is it. That's the Gardiner Houlgate auction. I mean, we tried to go through that as quickly as possible because otherwise we'd be here for hours, but actually a really interesting auction across the board, as normal really. This particular Gardiner Houlgate auction, the musical instrument one, as a general sale that covers everything, is probably arguably the most interesting musical auction that happens, I think, at least in the UK, if not kind of worldwide, on a regular basis. So well done to Gardiner Houlgate as always for kind of creating an interesting auction. So yeah, I definitely recommend having a look at this in more detail, because there's some potential things here across many different kind of types of instruments, so definitely worth looking in more detail. Put in the link in the description as always, check it out and see what you think. And once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.